Hello, everybody, and welcome to the annual tradition here at Draft Countdown and the Draft Countdown YouTube channel. It is the annual Grapico Senior Bowl wrap-up party, if you will. And this one's a bit different. For real, you've got myself, Brian Bosarge here, hosting this shindig, semi-retired. Came out of retirement this week to get back in the Senior Bowl groove. I'll go back into my shell next week. Shane, who is now the contributor at the Draft Sharks, Dynasty Sharks, or is it
Draft Sharks? Yeah.
Draft Sharks. No longer contributing to Draft Countdown, but still around. You have the former honcho of Draft Countdown, Scott Wright, now the honcho of Next Gym with us. You have Pigskin Paul, contributor here at Draft Countdown and longtime veteran of the draft world. And you have Brian Lamb, newest contributor here at Draft Countdown and has been here at the Senior Bowl all week wearing his nice Senior Bowl apparel hoodie that he bought last year for no good reason. So everybody's here. We're gonna have a Grapicos. Some of our Grapicos are fresher than others.
So mine's a year old. It has lost all ability to be any good, but I would drink it.
That's right. Myself and Brian have fresh grip. Paul, did you stop by the store today?
No,
Didn't make it. He didn't want any of the sugary goodness. Scott, I guess you're just fresh out of luck here.
I'm just a Yankee. I can't get it.
You could have. Here's what you should have did is just went and got a Fanta grape and just took the label off. No, we would have never known the difference.
Oh, I would have known. There's only one Grapico.
That's fair.
Put a little skull on it. And
somebody hit refresh quick.
All right, so we have fun here. We like to do predictions and everything. And as we're doing our predictions, I will let you know how we did last year when it was myself, Paul, and Shane, and when Scott won't participate in the ones where
it's moderated, right?
Where we're evaluating the players from this class because he's obviously out of that game, but what he does pop in on the numerical ones and the fun questions. We'll do that. I believe, Brian, if I'm correct, I counted 27 players that started the week that are gone that we know of based off of Senior Bowl roster modifications today. I believe it was 27. It was close to 30.
Do you know what the number was last year?
It was by the time the game started, it was well over 30.
Yeah.
Saying it's been that way 2 straight years. I anticipate we'll have some more defectors between now and tomorrow. But hey, just announced by the Reese's Senior Bowl, back-to-back years, baby. Sellout crowd at Hancock Whitney Stadium.
Wow.
I'm amazed.
They have obviously recalibrated the attendance figures here for this game.
There you go. Kind of like the election, you know?
No politics here, Paul. We're going to have fun.
Okay.
But, so, let's get right into it. Let's stop wasting time here. We're going to go around the table here. Shane, you've watched all the practice film. Myself, Paul, and Brian have been at all the practices, and myself and Brian, I believe, have watched practice film as well. A player that you were lower on coming into this week that you're now higher on.
Yeah, I mean, look, I the nice thing with doing the fantasy gig is I get to just focus on the skill guys. So that's what I've gotten to watch. I mean, I think one of the obvious names that I thought maybe was later day 3 pick, had some athleticism, but I really didn't see him put it all together. That looked excellent. I thought throughout the week was Elijah Arroyo, the tight end from Miami. Drew rave reviews in those one-on-ones. I mean, he just moves so well for his weight. And there were those flashes this year of and especially in the red zone, you're like, oh, this guy could be something. And then he kind of disappeared for 3 games, So to me, it might be more of a case where the Hurricanes misused him And I think the Senior Bowl, we really got to see the potential that he has and has moved up into my top 5 tight ends in the class.
Had a really good week. Last year, Shane, your pick was Gabe Hall, defensive lineman from Baylor, who was a UDFA.
Ouch.
But he made the team.
Yeah, not a bad year for UDFA. I'll take it.
I'm gonna I'm gonna go with a guy Paul's talked about this week a little bit. Toledo defensive lineman Darius Alexander. I'm not gonna say came out of nowhere, but he definitely came out of nowhere for me. And he's probably when I recalibrate my board there is going to be in the top 100 for me, I think, when it's all said and done. So I will go with Darius Alexander, the defensive lineman from Toledo. Last year, I went with Delmar Glaze, the offensive tackle from Maryland, who was a 3rd-round pick, I believe, by the Vegas Raiders. How about you, Brian?
I will go with my body twin, or my body size twin, Willie Lampkin, out of UNC. Just think he's had a great week so far.
Yeah, me and Shane have been talking back and forth in Discord about this guy. I just want him to. I want to see him make it at this point.
I just want to see if a team is brave enough to put him on the offensive line.
Yeah, I mean, it's just absolutely amazing watching him, and just particularly the one everybody saw, the one rep where 5'10", 270 guard Willie Lampkin stonewalls 6'7", 347 Deion Walker, and he went absolutely nowhere. It was just amazing to see.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just so technically sound and has been since he was 18 years old. At Coastal, it's crazy. I don't know how an NFL team takes him, but I have a feeling he's gonna stick around for a while.
Yeah, I mean, you get a feeling he's going to be that he can reserve the 3 inside spots, be that number 55 is reporting as eligible, and he's either going to come in and be the goal line fullback or the goal line extra blocking tight end, something. But he's gonna make a roster. I think he will.
Well, and he spent most of practice
the draft. I don't think
this week,
I'm
so
sorry.
I think that might be where he ends up at in the NFL, is at center.
What were you saying,
I
Scott?
was going to say, in like 20 years covering the draft, I don't think I ever remember seeing a guy with that body size. And on one hand, you're like, okay, he's already overcome so much. And he's the type of guy you don't want to bet against because obviously he keeps overcoming the odds. But at a certain point, too, there's a certain physical threshold you have to meet to play in the NFL. And you just worry that, once he gets there, it's going to tip on him a little bit. But yeah, I mean, very, very interesting prospect. That truly unique.
Paul, who's your guy?
Well, I would say Gray Zabel, but you know what? He was not even on my radar anywhere. So I guess that doesn't count. Scott, say you're welcome.
You're welcome.
Okay. Believe it or not, one of your boys, Mr. Jack Kaiser. I just figured he's been around forever. He's a nice plugger. He contributes. But he was absolutely a playmaker this week on defense during their scrimmage and 7-on-7. I think he ended up with 3 interceptions this week in the practice sessions. And he also had a fumble recovery. And when they showed some of the replays, I didn't watch tape, but I watched the shows at the evening hour with NFL Network and ESPN. When they showed some of the plays from behind the defense, this guy saw what was going on, saw where the ball was going, and was way faster than I thought he would be to respond to that and get to the ball. I would have said he was probably an undrafted rookie free agent a week ago. And now my comment is, if I had a team, if he's still there in the 5th round, I'd take him.
I got a feeling I know one team that's probably going to take him that late. I'm just gonna put that math together, Shane P. Hallam. You know, Paul, last year your guy was Dylan Lobby, the running back from New Hampshire, went in the 6th round.
Yeah, and he made the team. Didn't play much, but he made the team.
I think he took 1 snap or had 1 carry. I think the entire season.
Next year is his year.
Next
year is his year. Pete Carroll will love him.
All right, let's flip it around. Higher coming into the week, but now lower. We all cannot pick the same guy. Just saying. So, who went first the last time? Shane?
I went first. So.
Go ahead.
All right, are you sure you want me to go last this time so you guys can get your first picks out of the way? You can start. Yeah, I think that's
all right. I'll start so I can go ahead and get it out of the way.
Yeah,
it's Jalen Milroe, the quarterback from Alabama. I think we all could say the same thing here.
Really?
Okay, maybe. Okay, I can say the same thing anyway, but it's going to be Milroe. I after this week, I can't justify a team taking him in the first round. And I'm not saying it's not going to happen still, but I can't justify that. His third day of practice was better, but like we said on the show yesterday, that was a low bar to get over because his first 2 days were some of the worst 2 days of practice. And one of those Jack Kaiser interceptions came from Milroe, I do believe, in 7-on-7 maybe, it was bad. But anyway, last year I had Cameron Kinchins, the safety from Miami, who ended up actually having a really good rookie season. So I may have missed the ball on that one, but he did get up going in the 3rd round. But go ahead, Brian.
I'm going to go with a guy I was fairly high on, Notre Dame edge, RJ Oben. Really thought he had a lot of the tools to be successful and just hasn't been able to put it together since he transferred from Duke to Notre Dame.
Yep. Been a fan of Oben's for a while. I know that. Paul, go ahead.
I'm going to take a guy that I really thought this was going to be the big chance to see him do some big things because he's a big guy. And I thought Deion Walker just disappeared, which is hard to do when you're 6'7", 340 pounds. And I didn't see him make any plays the whole week.
Shane?
Yeah, I'll take one. I mean, I've seen some praise for him, so you guys can disagree with me, I guess. But from what I watched, I thought Xavier Restrepo, the receiver from Miami, who I thought was, a potential round 2, round 3 pick, 2,000-yard seasons back to back. He looked kind of sluggish, especially in those first 2 days in the one-on-ones. Like, could not get separation. This is a guy who really built his game on separation. And I mean, I thought the receiver group as a whole was pretty solid, and he stood out like a sore thumb. But you know how this goes. People watch different things, and some people were high on him coming out. But he was probably my biggest disappointment of the skill position players outside of Jalen Milroe.
No, I'm with you on Restrepo. I mean, he was basically silent almost. I think we all thought that he would have a lot of success in the one-on-ones, and you didn't really see it out there. I mean, Tez Johnson ended up being the receiver that took all of the highlights from the one-on-ones and the week of practice. I really thought Restrepo would have done better here. Maybe he has a solid game tomorrow. I guess he's still here anyway. We'll see. Just to finish this up, Brandon Dorless was your guy last year. Paul ended up going in the 4th round. And Shane, you had Jordan Morgan, the offensive tackle from Arizona, who ended up being a 1st-round pick.
Hey, there you go. Got one.
I don't know how he did. How did he do in Green Bay this year, Paul?
He was injured the entire frickin' season.
So there you go, Shane.
I was going for the draft capital. That's all.
There you go.
Play.
All right.
Let's
So
hear
last year, the Senior Bowl had 10 players taken in round 1. Prior to the start of this week, I thought they could challenge that again before 21 players opted out of the game before the week was started. So, that being said, last year I took 7. Shane, you had 8. Paul had 9. Scott, who's always the optimist here, only went with 6. Shane ended up being the closest at 9. So, number of players. Now, let's preface this by saying this is the number of players who started, who weighed in at the Senior Bowl.
Yeah.
Because the
In other
weigh-in
words,
is the weigh-in is what counts towards counting on the roster.
Which would be your January 27th printed up roster sheet.
Right. So that does include. I don't know if you were planning on including him or not, but that does include Missouri offensive lineman Armand Mimbo, who took ill. He must have got some bad oysters or something. Sunday night, took ill and never took a snap in practice. But let's go. Let's start with you, Scott, since you've been radio silent today, and you're on the clock now for the rest of the show. How many players from the weigh-in roster are drafted in the first round?
See, last year, the one year I go pessimistic and I was way wrong. So I feel like I have to learn my lesson this year, and I don't want to go double digits. So I'm going to go 8. I feel like that's a good, solid, optimistic.
8 feels like an achievable number.
Okay.
How about you, Paul?
Well, I was going to say 8, but I'll have to come up with another number. I can't say who they would be, quite frankly, but I'll say 7.
How about you, Brian?
4?
I mean,
Sure,
sure, why not? Shane?
I think it's going to be pretty good. I mean, I think if we just counted who's playing in the game, then we're talking.
I'm not sure we'd get more than 1 or 2 if we.
Yeah, right. So I'm going to go 9. I think I'm not sure if we hit 10, but I think I'm going to go with 9 for my quick count. I think that's pretty good. And the 8th and 9th, I think there's a couple options, so I think it can happen.
Yeah, I think somewhere between 7 or 8 like that, but I'll just take the number that's not been taken. So I'll just go with 6, and we'll see what happens there. But yeah, so I said I don't think they're going to get to double digits again with the guys that defected.
I might be closer, you think. I mean, still a very small underclassmen class once again, and I think that's what did it. Last year for the Senior Bowl, right? And I think that's what we can possibly see again.
Well, you know what? You may be right, because you hear a lot of the people saying that a lot of the NFL teams basically only have 16, maybe 17 first round grades, and there's 32 first round picks. So a lot of guys that are going to have second round grades are going to go in that back end of the first round, and that's generally where the Senior Bowl hits the money, is on the second, third round. So very well could be K. We could hit double digits again, but I will be surprised if that does end up being the case.
I think Jackson Dart's going to sneak in there. I don't know how wild of a prediction that is, but I think he's going to be a late first round pick when all is said and done.
McShay said
it might not be a late first round pick.
Yeah, I think
McShay
he's the guy
scouts are telling him that he's quarterback 2 in his draft class.
The teams that pass on the top 2, he's going to be the guy they're targeting, whether early in round 2 or trading up into round 1.
Yeah. He's definitely in my
Especially
eye.
with Milrow trending the way he is. And I mean, we were down there. We saw Jalen Hurts at the Senior Bowl, who wasn't exactly a polished passer at that point in his career. And I think he's light years ahead of where Milrow is. So,
yeah. The combine's going to have to save Milrow at this point.
And it will. I mean, that's where he's going to shine, right?
Yeah.
So.
Does it, though? Isn't that already baked into the cake?
it shouldn't be or should be or whatever maybe, but I mean, I can't get Anthony. He's every bit of, if not even a better passer than what Anthony Richardson was at Florida. He's just not as big, but I think he's going to run every bit as fast. We'll see. All right.
Yeah. We'll see.
Surprise name that goes in round 1 from the Senior Bowl. Now, last year, I said Johnny Wilson from Florida State because I really wanted to just go for a shock value, and well, he was a UDFA. Didn't work out. Paul said Jamari Thrash, who went in the 5th round. Scott was about 2 picks away from hitting this when he said Ladd McConkey, who ended up going like the 2nd pick of the 2nd round. But Shane got picked 27 in the 1st round when he said Darius Robinson, the edge from
I cheated a little bit. That wasn't quite a huge surprise. So.
It wasn't a huge surprise, no. So, Shane, since you hit it last year, who is the surprise name that's going to go in the 1st round this year?
I mean, who's disqualified from this? Is there who are the names? I guess
if they've been frequently appearing in mock drafts in the 1st round up to this point, then I would disqualify them.
Okay. Yeah, like because I think some of the skilled defensive linemen I think are going to go in the 1st, but I think they've been. I've seen them in mocks in that area, so I probably don't want to go for that. Let's see. Trying to think who I was eyeing up here. No. Yeah, I am not sure. So I'm gonna go with I guess I'll take one of those guys. You can disqualify me if you want to, and then you can come back to me at the end. But I think Shamar Stewart is in.
Yeah.
Would he be a surprise name? Is he locked in?
I mean, I'll let Brian, you make the call. Would Shamar Stewart be considered a surprise 1st round name?
I don't think so. I mean, I think he's on the cusp of 1st round, 2nd round.
That's fair. Because I would take him. I would take Walter Nolan. Is he a surprise 1st round pick?
I think Walter Nolan would be more of a surprise than Shamar Stewart.
All right, then I'll take Nolan then. I think that's where the Senior Bowl has shined, right? Is the American defensive line, and I think they get 3 1st rounders out of that American defensive line. So I'll take Walter Nolan from Mississippi.
How about you, Scott Wright?
Well, I already mentioned Jackson Dart earlier, so I think I'll go with that North Dakota State offensive lineman, Gray Zabel. Just a guy who can play a bunch of different positions. You know, he's going to be an easy player for the coaches to kind of dream on. They can slot him into a lineup anywhere they want. And just historically, surprise late 1st round picks, a lot of times they seem to be those offensive linemen. So I'm going to go there.
Paul?
Okay, soon you got to stop having Scott go before me all the time because I'm tired of him giving my answer, and then I got to change things. I was going to go with Zabel. Okay, I'll go way out of left field. Tez Johnson, despite his size.
That's spicy. That's a spicy one.
I mean, what did Hollywood Brown weigh in at the combine? So like 165,
something like that. I mean, this wouldn't be a first. I'm sure if we check hard enough, somebody's a pound or 2 lighter than him.
I don't know,
but nobody could cover him all week. I mean,
166. Hollywood Brown. Yeah.
So Johnson would have to put on 9 pounds. Devontae Smith was like probably 165 as well. when he weighed in at the combine, or 160 something. So, I mean, he's a good Brian Lamb sized breakfast away from breaking some thresholds here.
But you're not putting on
What
9
was
pounds
last
to
year?
run the 40. Yeah.
Yeah, what
No,
was Xavier Worthy last year?
we're making Shane do too much work here.
It's like 160 something, though,
But
too,
Tez
right?
Johnson, so Tez
You're higher.
Johnson for Paul.
165.
All right, so there you go. I'm gonna go Homer here because I just want to. Kyle Kennard, edge rusher from South Carolina.
South Carolina, yeah, okay.
I'd say he's probably borderline, probably more mid-second round right now at this point. But he feels like if it's you get a run on the edge guys maybe towards the end of the first round, Kennard sneaks in there. Had a good week until he bailed yesterday. So. Brian, take us home.
Well, I felt very confident that nobody would take Oregon wide receiver Tez Johnson. I was betting on his 40 times, so thank you.
Sorry.
So instead, I will go Notre Dame safety Xavier Watts.
He did not weigh in,
Okay, well,
so he's
fine.
not on the roster. So
I will go instead. As
further
somebody
review.
that's a big fan of South Carolina, I will go defensive lineman TJ Sanders.
even better. Love it.
There you go.
There you go.
Love it. All right. So I don't know if I've got this number set too low or too high, but the roster, the total players that weighed in was 139.
Okay.
So I am going to set the over-under total drafted players from the Reese's Senior Bowl 2025 at 114 and a half. Over-under 114 and a half. Paul.
Over.
Shane.
I'll take the over as well. I think it's a fair number, though. I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, no,
Brian.
that's a good one.
I will prices right it and go under.
Scott.
I'll take the over.
I will also go under.
Well, there you go.
This back end of this roster is not good. All right. Top 100 picks. First 100 players off the board. Over under 39 and a half.
I'll take that over. I think. Yeah, I'll take the over on that. Like if they get 10 first rounders, I think that's
I'll also take the over. It's like 40, 41 is probably about right.
probably about right. Yeah.
Scott.
I had to think harder about this one, but I think I'll go with the over on this one too.
Paul.
I'll go with under.
Brian.
I'll take the over. I think they're going to clean up on tight ends.
Running backs might have a hand in that too.
Yeah. How did we do last year with those ones?
Okay, so last year we had set the over under total drafted at 113 and a half. They ended up with 110. Shane, you were the only one that went under. Last year we set the over under at 42 and a half on the top 100. They went over at 45. Everybody but Paul went over. So
Interesting.
all right. So this one is kind of tricky and will almost always never happen, but it's a fun exercise anyway. If the offensive rookie of the year comes from the Senior Bowl, who will it be? Now, I will say that one of us last year picked a guy that probably will get some votes, but he will not win because Jaden Daniels is going to win Rookie of the Year, right? I mean, I think that's pretty locked up.
Yeah.
So last year I selected Bo Nix, who ended up having
Nice.
really good rookie year. So there is a quarterback in this class I'm willing to stake my name to on that one. So I feel like it's going to be a running back. If I had to pick one here, and I will go with Ollie Gordon, the running back from Oak State, as Senior Bowl Offensive Rookie of the Year. So let's go with Paul.
Okay, well, I'm not as high on this running back group looking at it here. All right. I'm going to take a guy I should have said when we said, who didn't you expect much of? And he blew things out. I'm going to go with a wide receiver. And it's going to be Jack Beck from TCU. It won't be, but
great story. He was really good this week.
I wanted to get his name on here somewhere. I thought he was unbelievable this week.
Apparently, I saw today somebody had tweeted out Ed Orgeron's last recruiting class at LSU and just the number of studs that were on that, including Beck and Landon Jackson. And it was somebody else that was at the Senior Bowl as well this year. I can't remember who it was. It may have been Miles Frazier or one of the guys from LSU, but like Garrett Nussmeier, and others. It was insane. All right, Scott, Offensive Rookie of the Year, Senior Bowl only. Paul, by the way, last year went with Malachi Corley, who was with the Jets, I believe. And Scott, you went with Michael Penix Jr., who maybe if he had played all season, maybe if they had shit canned Kirk Cousins a bit sooner, they'd have made the playoffs.
Could be.
Well, I'm going to take a kind of a big swing on this one. I'm going to say Jalen Milroe, because he's still probably going to get drafted somewhere in the top 100. If you're going to take a quarterback that early, odds are you probably going to be opportunity to have him play at some point, and he's talented. Who knows? Catch lightning in a bottle.
Can't argue with that logic. Brian.
First off, I found your tweet. In his final recruiting class, Brian Thomas Jr., Malik Neighbors, Garrett Nussmeier, Jack Besh, Landon Jackson, Savion Jones, and Garrett Dellinger. Wow. Those last four all.
Man could recruit, just couldn't coach.
I will go ahead and take Harold Fannin Jr., tight end out of Bowling Green State.
He's a nice player.
Has a tight end ever won Rookie of the Year?
I mean,
like Ditka, I think.
Bowers? No.
Bowers is not going to win.
Bowers would have won it if not for Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, if Fannin is running this year, I don't think there's a quarterback that's going to leap over him this year.
Yeah, tight end has never won.
So, Shane, you're not picking a tight end here. Who are you picking for Offensive Rookie of the Year?
I'm taking Jackson Dart. I mean, I think if he's going to be a top half of the first round pick, similar to what Scott said, right? I mean, he's going to get the opportunity to start. I think he has a little bit of that rushing ability. It's a down class, quarterback class. All you need to do is win some games, I think, and he could have a shot.
Shane, your Pittsburgh Steeler Roman Wilson did not win Offensive Rookie of the Year last year. But
surprising. He's only inactive for 2/3 of the season.
And he was like Morgan. He was IR'd a lot.
A lot of it was not IR, just
coach's decision.
Come on, Shane. I'm trying to be nice.
I know. It was rough.
All right. Flip it around now. Defensive Rookie of the Year from the Senior Bowl class only. Who's going to win Defensive Rookie of the Year this year?
I think it's going to be the Rams edge rusher, Jared
Verse. Who somehow none of us picked despite him playing in this game last year. No, he didn't. No,
I don't think
he didn't play
did
the
not.
game, but Fisk did. Braden Fisk did.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Got confused. Okay, let's start with Scott. Defensive rookie of the year.
Well, I think you said I can't take my guy Xavier Watts, right?
That's correct. He did not
That's
weigh
right.
in.
He's wasn't here.
Because I would have liked to have taken him. I'm tempted to audible to Jack Kaiser because, like you said, if he's a mid-round pick, he's going to be, he moves a little better than people think he does, and all the cliches about the intangibles. I keep thinking back. I can't remember what coach said. They said, that saying about how he's the type of guy you want your daughter to marry. Well, he's the type of guy you want your wife to marry. So that's kind of like Jack Kaiser. He's just going to blow everybody out of the room in those interviews. And I mean, classic coach in the making. So I'm tempted to say Jack Kaiser, but mid-round linebacker, probably more of a special teamer. So I'm going to go with, let's see. I'm going to go with how about the cornerback from Louisville, Quincy Riley? I'm just going to take a shot there as maybe a guy who
I
can,
love him, but
plays.
I don't see that. But
He had a big.
Well,
I mean, it was probably one of the best corners here this week. I thought. He would be one of the ones I would have considered for my lower on now higher list. I thought he had a really good week.
I was going to throw a dart with him.
Yep. Go ahead, Paul.
I'm still trying to decide if Walter Nolan is real or not, and I'm not convinced. Okay, everybody loves sacks. They proved that this year. So, give me Donovan Oraku from Boston College, the edge man.
Let me get a spelling on that. Brian, what's the correct pronunciation of that? You wrote an article about him.
Big E.
There you go.
That's
There
correct.
you go. We will allow it.
Just like Oladipo from UCLA is Olu his first name.
Yeah. Just for the record, last year, Scott, you went with Quinyon Mitchell, who is going to get some votes and might actually win it. He could win it. Paul, you went with Laiatu Latu, who I think did okay for the Colts this year, but probably not rookie of the year worthy.
Right. No, he
Shane,
wasn't.
you went with Adiza Isaac from Penn State. I'm not sure what he did this season. I don't even remember who drafted him. Maybe Arizona. Was it Arizona that drafted him or Atlanta? I can't remember. Anyway,
Baltimore. Yeah, Baltimore.
Close enough. I went with Peyton Wilson, your linebacker from Pittsburgh, who I guess did okay.
Yeah. Well, he was splitting time.
Brian, go ahead.
I think he's going to fall down the board. Maybe a late day 2 pick, but give me Marshall edge Mike Green.
Are you saying his size is fake and is probably not really 250 plus pounds?
No, I think there's some off-field things that'll cause him to drop.
That's fair. Okay.
But that's a good question, Brian. I personally think he shows up at about 240 at the combine.
Yeah. Jimmy popped up in the chat. How do you think Tommy Hill from Nebraska did this week?
Yeah. Okay. Saw him make some plays.
He had an interception yesterday. He had a good interception yesterday in the red zone.
I don't think he makes the top 100, though. He'll be a third-day pick.
Yeah, mid-pack guy. Good player, though. Going to be a good special teams guy, probably. Who's Shane?
I was gonna go with Mike Green. So let's see. I don't want to pivot to here. let me go with Azariah Thomas, the corner from Florida State, who had a really good
he
week.
had a great week.
I think he could get,
I think
7,
he could
8
be
interceptions.
one of those first round. He could be one of those Senior Bowl first rounders.
Yeah.
When it's all said and done. I know linebackers haven't won this award lately, but I like, maybe a big tackle, maybe get about 3 or 4 interceptions as a rookie. I think he's probably the best coverage linebacker here. Not sure if he goes maybe second, third round, but I really like Shamar James, the linebacker from Florida. And I'm going to go with him here as my defensive rookie of the year pick.
I think it's pretty impressive when roughly a 225-pound linebacker has the 4th fastest 40, miles per hour of the whole team, not just the position.
Yeah. He can play. Local kid to Mobile as well. This is always fun, and I got myself in trouble after we did this, or we didn't do this, but it's something. But I was cheering in the press box when my pick happened. I can't even remember who the quarterback was. He was terrible, but I was like, he will throw an interception in the game, and he did, and I was fist pumping in the press box. But anyway, one lock that will happen during tomorrow's game. One lock. Let's start with you, Scott.
So is my guy Riley Leonard? He's playing, right?
I don't know for how long, but he will play.
Yeah, not long ago, probably.
All right, I'm going to say he's going to punch in a goal line touchdown.
So are we pigeonholing it to goal line touchdown, or are we just saying anytime touchdown for Riley Leonard?
Inside the 5-yard line.
Oh, so we're going to – this may be the most specific any one of us have ever gotten on this. So inside
going to be a tight end at some
5-yard rushing TD for Riley Leonard. I love it.
I also predict he's going to be a tight end at some point in the NFL. They're going to move him to tight end.
I'm going to jump in here because I want to get this in. Jalen Milroe over 35 yards rushing.
Oh, all right.
Or I'll say it's over 34 and a half yards rushing.
All right.
I don't want to get no pushes here. Over 34 and a half yards rushing. All right, Shane.
I'm gonna go with that we will see 2 tight ends score a touchdown in the game.
Two tight ends score touchdowns in the game. That feels feasible. Paul.
Jeffrey Bassa from Oregon leads all players with number of tackles in the game.
I don't know that anybody's ever predicted a tackle leader before, Paul. I love it. Brian Lamb. One thing that will happen tomorrow.
Can I go with a Jalen Milroe rushing touchdown from outside of the red zone?
Milroe 20-plus yard rush TD. These feel all like I feel like we've gotten very specific and good with these predictions this year. This is going to be fun. Just for the sake of argument, last year Scott said Ladd McConkey anytime touchdown, did not happen. Shane said Bo Nix runs for a TD, did not happen. Paul said Joe Milton throws more interceptions than touchdowns. That did happen. I said there would be one bobbled snap that led to a turnover, and that did happen.
Yikes.
All right. Somebody's got to win this damn thing. Well, not necessarily. It can end in a tie. There is no overtime in the Senior Bowl. So keep that in mind. It has happened before. There is precedent. But score prediction for the 2025 Reese's Senior Bowl, Paul.
Not a lot of points, I don't think, in this one. And God, I don't like any of the quarterbacks to do real well in this thing. And in part because the American guys they're going to have to divvy up the snaps a lot. So I don't see them playing long enough.
I don't think they're going to divvy up that many snaps.
Oh, I think it'll be halftime before Hennigan takes over. Okay. I can't see a lot of points. And it might have a couple of touchdowns. How about, well, I'll just say 21-13. And we'll go with, let me see. We'll go with the American because they had the sloppiest practices. And every time I pick against the team that had the sloppiest, I lose. So, okay.
The American team, 21-13. Brian Lamb.
Give me the American team 24-3.
Whoa. Ooh. Is that because the Nationals inept on offense, in your opinion, or because they're good on defense?
I think my man is going with it. He knows that the Canadian quarterback's going to play a lot in the second half.
Hey, he wasn't half bad this week.
Look, I think you guys are missing the point here. The American team has never won the game. So I'm going to go national team 27-24.
And how many years have they been playing national against American, Shane?
4
yeah,
years.
Okay.
So let me ask you this, Shane.
Damn small.
On this 27-24 score, how many of these are defensive scores?
You sounded too cocky on that. 4 games. Come on.
Scott.
Apparently the American team is due, so I'm going American 20-17.
20-17. I feel like I pick the American team every year just because that's the team that has a South Carolina player on it.
You've got a couple now. You've got to go.
Well, they've got one. They'll have one tomorrow. They'll have one. two left yesterday. I got to do it, I guess. I'm going to go with the American team 13-7.
That may be the closest. I'm just counting on somebody scoring a defensive touchdown or two if they have to.
Yeah, multiple.
Or maybe a return with Tez Johnson or something, you know.
What was the score last year, Shane? You just looked this up.
I just had it. I think it was 27-10.
Okay. So the predictions we had last year, national 19-16 was Paul's.
That was 2 years ago.
The 16-7. Yeah, it was bad.
Okay.
Last year.
So Paul had it 19-16 last year national. Scott had it 27-10 national. Shane 28-24 national. I picked the American 24-17, as I always find myself failing.
So Paul gets that one.
Yep. All right. Offensive MVP of the 2025 Reese's Senior Bowl. Brian looks froze, so we'll go with Shane.
All right. All right, offensive MVP. So I picked the national. I got to pick someone from the national team. It's going to be harder. I'm going to go. Let's go with Ollie Gordon. Let's go Ollie Gordon with Brian's guy.
Ollie Gordon. Jimmy also going with Ollie Gordon as the offensive MVP. Great minds think alike there. So Shane going with Ollie Gordon, the running back. So we'll say that Ollie Gordon's going to get a touchdown, probably about 40 yards rushing. That's going to probably be enough to get him the MVP of this game. Doesn't take much. Spencer Rattler got the offensive MVP of the game last year.
Hey, if Leonard does anything, it's going to be him.
Scott Wright.
I mean, it's going to be the Canadian quarterback, right? He's going to play a lot. He's going to put up some stats.
Could be.
Now, Scott, you picked the American team, but he's on the national team. So
I split tickets. I hedge my bets.
Yeah.
It's happened before, you know.
Oh, yeah.
it has happened. So you're going to go with El Gersma, the quarterback from Laurier.
Oh, Canada.
Yeah.
How about you, Paul?
I'm going to go with Tyler Schaff from Louisville.
Somehow managed to win the practice MVP or practice
He played well this
quarterback
week.
MVP.
He really did.
Sure. Brian Lamb.
Well, I guess I'm forced now to take Dylan Gabriel, quarterback out of Oregon.
What was it going to be, Tyler?
I was going to be both of the other ones. Yeah, I was going to Gersma first.
Oh,
Who predicted it? So, Brian, you said a 20-plus yard rushing TD from Milroe. I said Milroe's going to rush for over 35 yards. I think Milroe plays 2 drives, has that rushing touchdown, has the rushing yards, throws for about 45 yards on about, let's say, 3 of 5 passing. Jalen Milroe is the MVP of the Senior Bowl.
and you forgot to mention the biggest factor. Where's he
He
going to
doesn't turn the
school?
ball over.
He's an Alabama
Well,
quarterback.
he's the most hated Alabama quarterback ever, by the way. I'm just going to throw that out there. Every Alabama fan hates Jalen Milroe. I don't understand it, but it's true. All right. Last year, I picked Malachi Corley, who did not. Shane, you picked Marshawn Lloyd, the running back from Southern Cal. Scott, you picked Joe Milton, who grounded a ball into short on a swing pass in the game. And Paul picked Spencer Rattler, who won the MVP.
Yeah.
So there you go. All right. Defensive MVP of the 2025 Senior Bowl.
Gotta think about this.
I will lead here because we all know I'm going to go with the homer pick. And the only Gamecock left who has 9 tackles, 3 for loss in this game, Demetrius Knight from South Carolina.
Oh,
I have no shame.
what a bunch of homers we are.
Scott, is
And I
it going
don't
to be Kaiser?
It is. Yeah, I was just going to say I'm going to be a homer too. And it's logical too. Linebackers rack up tackles, but.
Shane.
I'm gonna go
There's
with
no Ohio State. There's no Ohio State players here, so you can't be a homer.
I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know why there are no Ohio State players, Scott. I don't know. But I'm going to go with Hunter Wohler, the safety for Wisconsin. I think he has an interception for a touchdown in the game.
Hunter Wohler, safety from Wisconsin. Paul.
Is Josiah Stewart still here?
Nope.
No, I didn't think so. That's why. Okay. So moving along to my second choice, because I wasn't following any of that today. Hey, how about Darian Porter from Iowa State? Is he still here?
I believe he is still here.
Okay.
So Darian for now.
He was the fastest guy here this week.
So the corner from Iowa State, Darian Porter, we'll assume gets an interception here to get him the defensive MVP. Brian Lamb, finish us out.
For what it's worth, Josiah Stewart is still listed on the roster. I don't know why. Give me Texas Edge, Baron Sorrell.
Huh.
Had a good week. Good week for the only Texas guy that bothered to stay.
That's right.
So
He's going to be playing a lot with the lack of
that's
defensive
a
line.
fact.
That's a good pick.
That's a fact. All right. And finally, my favorite category that we do at the end here, because it's just pure mean-spirited and I don't care. One player from this week who will be on a UFL roster, opening day UFL roster in 2026.
I mean,
One player.
The
So
first pick is the layup right here.
Oh, let's see.
I think here's a real easy one.
Shane, go ahead.
I'll take Taylor Elgersma from
No. That's not the layup because it's a UFL roster.
Oh, so CFL.
He's going to be a first round pick in Canada.
Oh man.
So I wouldn't. I would
We'll give you a boat. We'll give you a mulligan.
All right, that's fine. I don't have to go first then. I thought that would be
okay.
I mean,
yeah,
he's the one that's not playing in the NFL.
Well, that's how it works, right? I mean, he's like slotted up there, so they'll if he doesn't get in an NFL camp, he'll get drafted up there and play.
Oh boy, who we got here?
All right, Brian, I'll let you start then.
Give me Washington State wide receiver Kyle Williams.
Really?
Well, he had a good week,
Yeah,
but
pretty
you know,
good week.
that's
He had a good
you know
week.
what?
I think he's too far down the roster. I don't know if he's going to get a legitimate shot.
That's fair. Just for the record, the player we all picked last year, Shane, you picked Travis Glover, the offensive tackle from Georgia State. He got drafted, right?
Packers.
Yeah. Scott picked Sam Hartman, who is
Redskins practice squad.
Commanders.
I'm sorry.
So still in the league. Paul, you picked Joe Milton, who people are talking about trading a first round pick for now.
Yeah.
mostly at first round mock. But,
Yes.
And I had Imani Bailey, the running back from TCU. I don't know what his current status is.
He's on the Carolina Panthers.
Okay. So we're all probably wrong there.
Yeah.
Did any of us get defensive MVP? Did you go over that one? Maybe I missed it.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. I skipped past that. Defensive MVP, nobody got it. But I had Darius Robinson, who I don't even think played. Shane, you had Cam Hart, the corner from Notre Dame.
Well, he did better than I expected.
Paul, you had Booker, who was the edge rusher from Kansas. And Scott had Lou Fowl, the linebacker from Notre Dame.
He was playing by the end of the season. Yeah. Okay.
You know what?
Back to the UFL.
All right, back to the UFL. I will go with the guy who showed up here yesterday, Denny Strigo, the edge rusher from Minnesota.
It's probably a good one.
It technically counts.
Off the plane and on the field in about an hour.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, Scott.
Well, you said I picked Sam Hartman last year, and I'm even less optimistic about Riley Leonard as an NFL quarterback. So I'm going to go with Riley Leonard. And
Ooh,
I think
no, I don't think so.
I think he's closer to an NFL tight end than he is a quarterback.
Yeah. No, that's Milroe, in my opinion. Milroe is going to be the next Taysom Hill.
All right, how about it, Paul?
I'll stick with my quarterback, Seth Hennigan from Memphis, because there happens to be a Memphis team in the United Football League. Okay.
It's not bad strategy there, Paul.
No.
Finishes up, Shane.
All right, I'll take the local kid. I'm going to take Jamal Pritchett, receiver from South Alabama.
That's pretty.
The local boy.
That's not a bad. That's not a bad call either, because he's not very good. So that will do it for our predictions, and always a good time there. Final thoughts, Brian Lamb on the week here we saw at the Senior Bowl.
How about 3 days of great weather and great weather planned for tomorrow for the game? Different weather every day, but no rain.
For Mobile, that's excellent weather.
Yeah, I mean it was
This
awesome, especially considering the weather. Like I said, the weather we had the week before.
That's
And
right.
it wasn't cold. It didn't snow. Didn't rain.
Shane, final thoughts on the Senior Bowl week.
Yeah, you and I talked about it a little bit, Brian, but I think this was the first year that it felt like the Shrine had a little momentum in catching up with the Senior Bowl, and I'm interested to see going forward if the Senior Bowl can maintain that lead, because I'm interested to see how the numbers finish up after the draft. I think it's going to be a lot closer than it has been in the past couple years.
But we have to get them to start playing by the rules, because they damn well knew that Shador Sanders and who's the cornerback that was also hurt all season. They knew those
Bell.
guys were not playing.
And Kenneth Grant. Yeah.
And
look,
there
Shador
was
Sanders
a
only made
memo
that
from the NFL to cut
Shador
that
Sanders
out.
only made his decision a week ago, Paul. That's what he said.
That's what he said.
That's all matters, right?
His dad lies too.
I'm with you, but
Paul, your final thoughts on the week.
I think the days are behind us where we're likely to see very many really top half of the first round show up for any all-star game. They've already made too much money in nil. They're looking forward to breaking the bank in a few years in the NFL. And what that's done, even though it's frustrating at first, once you get over it, which I had to do after a couple of days, it has allowed, and it's worked, I think, to the advantage of all of us as draftniks. It has allowed Nagy and his scouts, who do a hell of a job, to bring in a few more of these small school gems. And where else? I don't know. I don't have all the cables to watch every football game every weekend, and my eyes won't put up with it at my age. There's about 10, 12 guys that they brought in, and every one of them at some point looked pretty darn good. And some of them looked good all week, like Zabel and a couple other guys. So for me, I got to keep telling myself the pot of gold is maybe not gold, but we get more of the small school guys that turn out to be pretty darn good.
Yep. Scott, your final thoughts.
Yeah, I guess just similar, hearing Paul talk there. It goes back 20 some plus years, right, Paul? We get there and we get the roster and we see all these top names that dropped out, and it's disappointing. We're not going to get to see these guys. And but on the other hand, too, it does, like you say, provide those opportunities for players a little bit lower on the pecking order. And I mean, for the real draftniks, we like to see those guys anyways, right? We've usually seen enough of the guys that are going in the top half of the first round. As much fun as it would be to see them all competing, there is some advantages to it too. And ultimately, the only thing that's going to change the equation in terms of guys participating is when the NFL starts either rewarding the guys who do participate or holding it against the guys that don't. And there hasn't really been any sign that, at least not overtly, I think there's maybe missed opportunities. Guys could have risen up further, but there has been overt opportunities where teams said, this guy didn't play in the Senior Bowl, so we're going to let him drop around. So I think it's just, it's the way it's been a long time. It's the way it's going to be. And just looking on the positive side, it just creates more opportunities to evaluate the guys who need more evaluating.
I liken that, like what you just said the NFL is not going to punish the Shrine Bowl.
No.
They're not going to punish the players. They're not going to do any of it. There's just no incentive to. So why would they? The NFLPA is not going to let them do it as well. So there's no incentive. So this week's not been the greatest week for Jim Nagy. I'm going to tell you that. Man has taken some L's this week. A lot of it self-inflicted, if we're going to be honest. somebody needs to take the man's friggin' phone away. It's just don't let him tweet the entire week. Take his phone away. You had the high ground. And then 10:30 at night tweet killed all high, morality that you might have had. And now everybody's all poor Eric Galco, poor Shrine Game, all this crap. You screwed that up, Jim Nagy. It is what it is. And the Hula Bowl's dead for all intents and purposes. So Jimmy's probably got an NDA. He can't talk about any of it in the chat. and it's fine. But that game's done. And so we were really down to two that matter in the grand scheme of things. No offense to the Tropical Bowl or the CGS. They have some decent players that are going to be in camps, but not a lot drafted.
A little rivalry competition's not bad, though. It's always fun to see that.
But the Senior Bowl and the Shrine Bowl are the two now. Jimmy did ask a question in chat, who's the first Shrine Bowl player drafted? It's going to be Shadur Sanders because it's going to count. So whether it should or not, but he will be the first Shrine Bowl player drafted and probably be the highest Shrine Bowl player drafted in 2 decades. If I had to guess. Yes, because he's going to get drafted higher than Zay Flowers did. So I don't know. That's my final thoughts on the week. It sucks all these players leaving early, but like I said, this is just it's getting worse and worse every year. That's not going to change. I'm just curious to see what happens tomorrow. How many players that are on this roster right here that's not highlighted already are not going to suit up, or how many, like last year in the game, suit up or play one series, and then they're out in second half. They're out in sweats with a hat on, like Spencer Rattler. Spencer Rattler played 2 drives last year. Bo Nix played 2 drives last year. Michael Penix showed up but didn't play and was supposed to, and that ended up leaving. They should have switched. I think last year they should have switched Carter Bradley over onto the other roster, but they didn't, and we ended up getting, what was it, Brian Paul, like 2/3 of the game was Sam Hartman. No offense to Notre Dame or anything, but ain't nobody wanted to see that.
And Braden Fisk
I had to call that on the radio. It was awful. Yeah, Braden Fisk ended up switching teams
the day of the game.
The day of. We've had 2 people switch teams today. Was it Melvin Smith, the corner from Southern Arkansas, switch teams, and Aeneas Peebles switch teams.
Well, if there's any tomorrow that switch teams, I'll be the first one to tweet it out.
That's what we love about you. All right, so that's going to do it for this fun happening Grapico. I still got one left here. I'm gonna finish drinking it before I go to bed here. It's caffeine free, right? Right.
I'm gonna run out and get some dinner.
It is caffeine free, so I won't be up all night here. But yeah, so bright and early in the morning, I've got to get down to the stadium to do a spot on the radio. Not doing the radio broadcast this year. That sucks, but maybe next year.
And here's a surprise for you guys. Multiple reasons, but I'm not going to the game tomorrow. I'm going home.
Ooh.
Yep. Multiple reasons.
Throw them in the group chat. Well, enjoy the game, Brian. Sounds like you're going to have beautiful weather, and say hi to everybody for me.
Yeah. It's just going to be the Brian and Brian show at the game tomorrow, representing Draft Countdown. But for all of you that are subscribed to the channel or are watching this and you want to subscribe to the channel, please go ahead and do that, because post game tomorrow, just like we did after every practice, me and Brian are going to go live and do a quick game recap from Hancock Whitney Stadium tomorrow. So that'll be fun. But yep, so that's going to do it. Shane, tell everybody where they can find you now.
Yeah, draftsharks.com. You can go in. I have my Senior Bowl article up of risers and fallers from the skill positions. And if you play fantasy football, then I have rookie rankings and going to be doing Devy rankings and going to be writing up all these guys here coming up pretty soon.
We still miss you, Shane.
I know. It's fun. I feel like Scott, right? When you get to like come back this, one day or a couple times a year, it's like, oh man, this is always a blast. I appreciate you, Brian and Brian, having me back, and Paul as well, for sure.
And Scott, if you ever change your mind, you can come back and be a draftnik again.
No, this is just like old times, guys. You know how much I enjoy this, and it's been a blast. I'm always down to talk some draft. I just wish I had my fastball like the old days. I can't hang as well anymore.
Scott, tell everybody where they can find you now.
Yeah, man. Coming to a card show near you. I'm kind of traveling the country and now, hitting all the big card shows. So I literally have coming up. I'm going to be in Nashville next week. Then I'm going to be in Ontario, California, Las Vegas, Dallas, Texas. So if you're a card collector in any of those cities, hit me up on social media. Scott Wright MN. Say hi.
Come back to Tampa or Orlando so I can come and.
I was close. I was just kind of
guide me around. I still buy my football cards.
All right, let's talk. Let's talk cards.
So, Paul, I would say ask where people can follow you, but you have them blocked, including our man Brian Lamb. By the way, up here, you have him blocked. We looked at this yesterday at the Senior Bowl. I thought that was pretty funny. But Paul, you can find his work at draftcountdown.com, mostly on Tuesdays. But he's done a practice report each week for us. Or each day for us this week from the Senior Bowl. And if I'm not mistaken, Paul, we look at the old schedule here. I believe
for next week
you are on mock draft duty this week. So a new 1-round mock coming up from Pigskin Paul this week.
Next week. So yeah, get on this week.
So when you get back home tomorrow, you can get to working on that, or start working on it in the hotel room tomorrow night. Whatever.
Yeah, there you go. Could do
there
this,
you go.
Guys. I'm getting so old that I take 2 days to go back now.
Brian, other than on Mondays at Draft Countdown, where can everybody find what you do out there?
I'm on X at BrianLamb_ISN. And at NFLDraftLounge.com.
There you go. And I am hanging out behind the scenes at DraftCountdown.com, but you can follow me at Deep Fried Draft. And you can also find me and Shane and Draft Countdown and Brian over at Blue Sky as well. If that's your chosen cup of tea, just search our names out. You'll find us there as well. And Draft Countdown as well. It's I believe it's at draftcountdown.draftcountdown.com. And mine is Deep Fried Draft at draftcountdown.com. And Brian's is something with Blue Sky. And Scott, are you over there yet?
Not yet. I've been doing most of my social media over on Instagram.
None of it's any good for anybody. It's just a cesspool, all of it. But anyway, it's a necessary evil for those of us in the publicating business here. So that's gonna do it for everybody. We're gonna wrap this baby up. Always, like I said, always fun. This is great. This week is good. This week in general is good for my mental health. I just want to come out just straight up say that. Seeing everybody at the Senior Bowl, seeing everybody that you only see once a year, really like Brian and Jeff, guys like Jeff Risen, Mike Margate, met Parker Blake for the first time this year. He's a good dude. So it's been and guys like Emery and Hunt and just other guys. It's just great seeing everybody. It's like I said, it's very good for my frame of mind.
It's a special week.
Yeah. But then reality sets back in next week and that just sucks. But anyway. But that's going to do it for this. We're going to sign off now. For Scott Wright, for Pigskin Paul, for Shane P. Hallam, for Brian Lamb, I'm Brian Bosarge. So like and subscribe to on the old Draft Countdown channel. We're over 1,000 subs, baby. That's fucking great. Thanks to Brad Menendez for that. He has done such a great job with our YouTube channel. But everybody, good night.
Night, guys.